Hey, Jeremy Swayman, I've got 64 million reasons as to why I would be working. Well, turns out that playbook is being used, cut, and pasted once more because we had ourselves word out of Frank Seravalli that the New York Rangers are trying their hand at an 8x8 extension. Take a look at this video clip posted by Seravalli on Twitter. It was from the Sports on Prime Canada show, and it goes out there and talks about this. With so much focus on Igor Shesterkin, the New York Rangers have also been working on a deal with Alexis Lafreniere going back to summer. Talks are ongoing. Different options are on the table, and one of them is in the 8 years by $8 million range. Could we see Alexis Lafreniere also put his hand into the 8x8 bin? Let's read some of the replies on Twitter just to get a general idea as to how fans are responding to this. Ghoulie Dub says 8x8 seems like a steal for Laffy. He looks great. The points will come. So happy for him. He had turned a lot of haters around. That would be a big risk and probably an overpay considering how unproven Lafreniere is. Hey Frank, quick question. Which dead Ranger will give them the most luck to re-sign Igor? What a weird question. What in the world? Let's go out there and dive into that idea of Lafreniere being an overpay. The first reply says, you clearly don't watch any Rangers games. I like the Rangers, and they're my second favorite team. Lafreniere has not proven himself to be paid as much in my team's example of Robert Thomas, Kyrou, and Buchnevich. Okay, that's a big thing to say. Not going to go out there and necessarily agree, but another reply says 57 points for Lafreniere while not on Power Play 1. Put him on Power Play 1 last season and he would have been a 70-point player easily. The kid's a stud and looking only like he's going to get better. You see, this is what we had been talking about over the past few years. Let's just dive away from the 8x8 conversation for a bit and talk about first overall picks, because I'd been saying this as an idea over the past few years or so, that I feel like NHL fans, and fans in particular of teams that draft first overall, our expectations have been kind of tainted. Because in 2012 up until 2018, we had a run of first overall picks in the league that were absolutely dominant right out the gate. Say what you want about Nail Yakupov, but he was a pretty good rookie in the National Hockey League. Nathan MacKinnon, pretty good too. Aaron Ekblad, pretty strong player. He ended up winning the Calder in his first season at 18 years old. And then we got into the nutty guys. Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel, 1-2 in 2015. They were great right out the gate to start out their NHL careers. In the 2016 draft, you had Matthews and Laine, two guys that ended up doing so well in their first years of NHL eligibility. Matthews had 40 goals, Laine was quickly behind him, and then in 2017, Nico Hischier came into the league and he was pretty alright. Rasmus Dahlin in 2018 was also fantastic, and then we started to see guys fall off. In 2019, Jack Hughes was first overall. He went from the NTDP to the NHL and had the worst first overall rookie season we had seen out of a guy in terms of points per game, and points per 60. That was very documented here on this YouTube channel. In 2020, the same thing happened. Alexis Lafreniere was drafted first overall, and his first season was lower and worse than Jack Hughes' first NHL season. And then in 2021, Owen Power didn't even go to the NHL right away. 2022, Slafkovsky comes in. He is not great. He has a subpar year in his first year in the NHL, and he misses half the season with an injury. We're starting to get back on track here with Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini. These guys are in two separate tiers of first overall caliber, I would say, comparative to the Slafkovskys and the Powers. But for a good few years in the 2010s, I feel like fans had been really accustomed to seeing first overall picks come into the NHL and dominate. And unfortunately, Lafreniere was lumped into that clump of guys that just was not able to do that. Hughes, Lafreniere, Power, these guys needed time. And for Lafreniere, we are finally starting to see the fruits of his progression at 23 years old when he's on a $2.3 million contract that expires at the end of this season. By the way, happy birthday to Lafreniere. He's born on October 11th, 2001, so hey, he's literally turned 23 today. This conversation would have been even better yesterday because we would have said, hey, he's only 22 years old, right? Anyways, Lafreniere right now is on pace for 164 points. He is on pace for 82 goals and 82 assists. He's obviously not going to get that. I mean, he's at 2 points in one game. But last season, he did have 57 points in 82 games played, 28 goals while not playing on the first unit power play. I think the natural progression for Lafreniere would to inevitably get himself on that spot. I mean, he's only 23. He's going to get better, right? Right now, though, if you go over to the Rangers and their line combinations, they still do not have Laf on that first unit. They have him on the second unit, manning the point alongside a K'Andre Miller. Right now, it's Kreider, Trocheck, Panarin, Zibby, and Foxy on that first PP. By the time Lafreniere is 25 years old and he's signed on to an $8x8 million extension, $64 million in total for who was once the worst first overall rookie season we had seen in 20 years, by the time he's in his mid-20s and he's on the first unit, there's no telling how good Lafreniere is going to be. He's so smart, he's got hands, he's got these skills, and he's got that work ethic that's putting him up top. A lot of things have gone right for him over the past few years to justify this dollar amount on a potential extension. You talk about cap percentages, you talk about how much the cap is going to rise, and you would very easily say that a guy who maybe has 70, 80, 90 point potential if he was given power play time would be worth what Lafreniere would be signing for should an 8x8 get done here. I, for one, am just so happy to see these first overall picks starting to really live up to that potential. Jack Hughes is a first overall pick. A lot of Devils fans are going to go out there and say, hey, that was the right pick. It took him a while, but he eventually got there, and now he's looking awesome. They signed him to a long-term extension. Nobody in New Jersey is complaining about that one. Lafreniere, same thing. Probably going to be happening soon. 2021, you had Owen Power. I don't know necessarily if a lot of Sabres fans are jumping the gun to saying that he was definitively the best player they could have taken at first overall at this point in his career, but he's only 23 years old. There's a lot to go right here as he continues to progress. And then, of course, you have Juraj Slafkovsky, same thing, in the Montreal Canadiens system. He's been doing really well, and a lot of Habs fans are happy about him. So we are starting to see these first overall picks round themselves out and get better. That is ultimately the best case scenario. We don't want to see guys going out there and not living up to their potential and their draft hype, because it's just an L for everybody involved. Obviously, we want to see these guys succeed, and for Lafreniere, he's been doing that to a really great magnitude. So if you're a New York Rangers fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this news from Frank Seravalli that an 8x8 extension could be on the horizon for Alexis Lafreniere? $64 million for a guy who is only 23 years old, who had just turned 23 literally today, and who was one of the best producing Rangers last season despite not having any significant power play time. What are your thoughts on the way Lafreniere's career has progressed? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.